listeners, and welcome to my webinar. The topic we will discuss is how alcoholism contributes to domestic violence on university campuses. The objectives we will cover are history, facts, data, laws, policies, rules, health issues, and university issues. So, what are we talking about? In research conducted by Hove and their colleagues, it's stated that previous research has consistently found a strong positive association between alcohol consumption and intimate partner violence. This relationship has been identified in the general population, clinical populations, and among college students. So, alcoholism and domestic violence are public health concerns that can impact one's life and well being tremendously. These issues alone can lead to negative consequences and negative health outcomes. Facing these negative behaviors and situations as a student at university can cause so many adversities that can be avoided. This topic is important to public health because it can result in health conditions that may or may not leave permanent damage and negative impacts on one's life that may be unfavorable. All right, we are now moving on to history. So, in a study conducted by Kilmer and their colleagues, it states that in 1945, Dr. Clements Collard Fry published in the Quarterly Journal of Studies on Alcohol the first article exclusively focusing on college students drinking as the topic. Almost 70 years later, it is striking how much has changed and how much remains relevant. And in this same study, it mentions that as more colleges move to offer outreach services and or provide non-judicial or conduct-based follow-up services to students after alcohol-related incidents, it is interesting that this recommendation was made as early as 1945. So any programs that are available to help students improve and move past these behaviors so they don't occur again, recommendations for those type of programs weren't even made until 1945. So this just goes to show that this is an ongoing issue that took place then and continues to take place now. This topic is still very much important to discuss and address, although times have changed in other aspects. All right, so moving on to facts. A fact that I thought was interesting was in a study conducted by Shuri and their colleagues, and it expresses that dating violence prevention programs have often neglected the potential influence of alcohol and drug use in their programs. So, the neglect of these themes in dating violence could be a major flaw that influences this type of violence to occur time and time again due to unresolved substance abuse issues. So, the longer we're silent, neglecting, or ignoring these behaviors, the violence is going to continue. Moving on to data, I thought in the research conducted by Gomez and their colleagues was interesting, and it discovered that women ages 18 or older who report past year victimization are 6 times more likely to meet criteria for moderate to severe past year problem drinking compared to women without past year intimate partner violence. More data that I thought was pretty interesting was in research conducted by Nevins and their colleagues, and it reveals that the odds of perpetrating dating violence on drinking versus non-drinking days were 2.2 times higher for psychological aggression and 3.6 times higher for physical assault. We are now on to policy. So, in the article Policy for Alcohol and/or Drug Use Amnesty in Sexual Misconduct and Interpersonal Violence Cases, published by the Office for Institutional Equity, it stated that a bystander acting in good faith or a complainant acting in good faith that discloses any incident or domestic violence, dating violence, stalking, or sexual assault to college officials or law enforcement will not be subject to college regulations for violations of alcohol and/or drug use policies occurring at or near the time of the commission of the domestic violence, dating violence, stalking, or sexual assault. So, having policies like these in place can encourage more onlookers to come forward and report these occurrences with confidence in knowing that they will not be disciplined or penalized by default. So, in a way, there you have a get out of jail free card if they have any information or anything they want to come forward about. Now, moving on to laws. The Jean Cleary Act is a consumer protection law that aims to provide transparency around campus crime policy and statistics. This law requires colleges and universities to report campus crimes, and that includes domestic violence and liquor law violations to create awareness and safety measures that will keep students protected. Moving on to rules. The Alcohol and Drug Prevention and Response Program communicates that to promote a safer community for students, the university requires all first year students to attend ACIT, which is an alcohol and drug prevention program that includes a series of interactive online modules that utilize peer educators to examine what new students may encounter in the campus substance culture. So, universities with rules or requirements to complete programs of this magnitude ensure that students have been introduced to the topic and consequences that come with engaging in this behavior. Now, health behaviors or health issues. So, according to Stanford Medicine Children's Health, 1,825 college students die from alcohol related unintentional injuries, and 696,000 college students are assaulted by another student consuming alcohol. So, based on the consequences of engaging in these behaviors, it could be serious injuries or death depending on how violent the domestic violence confrontation is. And these accidents could be auto accidents, alcohol poisoning, liver damage, or withdrawal symptoms. Those are just some of the conditions that could arise. And we are now on to university issues. So, the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, they state that about 1 in 4 college students report experiencing academic difficulties from drinking, such as missing class or getting behind in schoolwork. So, falling behind in schoolwork could cause academic probation, and if any consequences to any behavior caused by alcohol use becomes very severe, it could lead to expulsion, it could lead to involving the police or even temporary suspension. And if the issue isn't as serious, they would recommend counseling. All right. So, overall, the same issues in history remain. History hasn't changed much, and the same difficulties exist today. There are laws, policies, and rules in place to help manage this behavior. If students continue to engage in this behavior, ultimately they will face the consequences, whether it be health issues or disciplinary action determined by the university before involving the police. All right, and now to the conclusion. This topic is significant to public health because the engagement of students in this behavior can greatly impact individuals and communities. Taking the initiative to follow laws, policies, and rules on campus can save and protect many lives and avoid issues that don't have to be dealt with. Implementing safe alcohol use practices and leaving toxic situations that can lead to violence will aid in better health and life outcomes, and engaging will create barriers. All right. So, my call to action is drink safely and legally and avoid toxic and dangerous relationships. So, here I have a couple of questions for you guys to think about. So, what did you learn from this webinar? What interventions or tactics do you think would be successful in avoiding students engaging in these behaviors? And should topics like these be discussed more frequently to students? In here, just have a couple of my references listed throughout the presentation. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening.